Okay, so hello and welcome to yet another Gaming Masters video. Today we're going to be having a sponsored video with Games Planet once again, and we're going to be doing a video review. Now, it's not particularly often that we do a video review over on the YouTube channel, and I just wanted to do it for you guys for a bit of a change. It means that I can cover another game for you guys. We've just got the complete collection over on the PC for you guys through GamesPlanet.com, who offer some really good deals for Mac and PC gaming codes. They do have a sale starting very soon, so I keep a lookout on the website. They've got some really good deals coming up in that offer. So we're going to be covering the sandbox episode of the game for you guys today in our review. You can choose the names you can choose your name from a few of the different setups, so Marshall, Marcio, Marco, Marcus, etc. So there's a few preset names. It would be nice to have a custom name that you can just type and choose your own name, but it's enough customization personally for me. It doesn't really matter that the names are predefined. The different skills you can cycle through as well. So if you hover over them, they give a bit of a description. So here, grants $2,000 bonus starting money, and foreign aid increased by 10%, or construction is 4% cheaper, etc. You can only choose one of these though. So I'm gonna just go over to the cheapskate option here, which means that construction is 4% cheaper, which is going to be fairly cool. Now, you do have the different ethnic minorities and races as well, so I'm going to be going over for a Latino, and then we're going to be selecting the face for our character here as well. So then we have a option to change costume, the main colour, and also the supplementary colour as well. So I'm going to be going over for the businessman option. I'm going to be going for a... let's have a look at the different colours here. Let's go for the black with a light ocean blue. That looks fairly good. And then for the beard, I'm going to get rid of, I think, let's go for the Brit, as in British, and then change the hair colour to brunette. Do you want a hat? No, let's not have a hat. And then the different accessories that you have available as well, you can cycle through that. I'm going to go for the movie star option here, as I usually do. So let's go back over to the Brit for the hairstyle. There we go. So we're just loading into the game now. You have different settings as well for all of these maps. Now, I do have all of the DLC available at the moment, and I'm going to be selecting a random map. Tell you what, let's make it completely random. There you go. Okay, so we're going for this one. Ojos. Where's Ojos? There you go. Sailors claim that the rumbling of the two volcanoes whispers words of madness. Whoever sets foot there. Okay. Let's go for the modern times. I do like the modern times one. And then let's go for 200 as starting population. And then unlimited money, because I do really love this sandbox. There's so many different customization options as well. We're going to then go for political difficulty very low. Disasters occasional, victory by points none, money none, construction. Okay, so just go with those options for now. We can always change them in a future episode or future world, or through many different methods. The tutorial is very useful if you've never played the game before. I'm going to be showcasing some of the different options that you have for the game settings as well. So I'm going to be going over to visuals here. Screen refresh rate is default desync. On, and then the colorblind mode is off as well. Rendering, this is the bit that you want to be focusing on. I mean, it's not going to be the best looking game in the world, it never will be with a game like this, with this kind of like design as such. It's never it's not going to be your just cause free kind of game. You're just going to be having a bit of fun. You can also adjust the audio here. You don't really necessarily need a loud or beautiful game to be able to do something like you can in Tropico 5. But this definitely does look good. I played it on the PlayStation 4 and also the PC now. So yeah, it's definitely good having a bit of experience with both of the platforms, in my opinion, because it means that I can provide a bit of a advice depending on whether you want to pick it up on console or something like that, if that's something that you're interested in. So we're going to be putting down a bit of a parking lot here, because there isn't really any parking or any really vehicles at all, to be honest, around here. But I think that it's best to have some of the basics set up for your community before you actually do make a lot of progress. So we're just going to be building a few more roads here as well. Now, the different options that you have available progress, depending if you're doing the kind of like story, if you're doing a sandbox, what settings you have configured, but then you have so many different tabs and different kind of like sections. So you have the infrastructure, which includes all of these, so your docks, your power plants, your substations. You can demolish stuff, you can build roads, train stations, etc. Your raw resources, which include oil wells, automated mines, factories, and things like that. Industry with lumber mills, steel mills, furniture factories, fashion companies, and things like that. So kind of like luxury, not necessary things, and that's something that is good because it brings the industry kind of like together. Well, not all of these are needed necessarily, because you don't necessarily need like your posh furniture and stuff like that, but then it does kind of like help out with a lot of things. So, sorry, the luxury is stuff like cigar factory, rum distillery, vehicle factory, chocolate factory. So those are the things that you don't actually need. The residential, country house, mansion, tenement, apartment, modern apartment. Modern apartment I really want to build at some point. It can provide housing for 10 families, but it's barely, well, more than that probably. But at the moment, you need to research a specific thing to be able to unlock it in the game, which is definitely something which adds a different level of kind of like, it adds to the way that the game works, because a lot of the things like this, like, you just get in sandbox mode especially, you kind of like get everything from the get-go. Obviously you can change the different settings with this. Entertainment environment includes waste treatment plants, taverns, pubs, parks, gardens, cinemas, etc. So a bit of entertaining things for your citizens to do. And then you also have the luxury entertainment with things like museums, nightclubs, dolphinarium, hang gliding club. Tourism, obviously, with your hotels, your airport, your aerodrome, your cruise ships. Welfare and media, you've got your churches, you've got your TV stations, asylums, clinic, newspaper, offices, police station. Research and education, you've got your libraries, your high school, your kind of like college. And then with economy, you've got your bank, obviously, customs office, embassy, dry dock, lighthouse. Military, you've got full-on prisons, you've got aircraft carriers, you've got barracks, guard towers, fortresses, defense HQ, loads of different things available there. And then waterborne, you've got your farms, you've got your submarines, power plants and things like that. Waterborne, of course. And then espionage, you've got your dungeon, ranger corps, Ministry of Information, checkpoints, spy academy, police blimp. I'm going to just drop a police blimp down here because I can, and I wanted to see what it's like, because I don't think I've actually seen this in the game before, so let's just build it here. So we're just going to be having a bit of a look around here and building a few things. Now, the menu system seems to be fairly simple. As you can see here, you can browse through all of the different statistics as well. Depending on your settings, you can have natural disasters, which obviously will cause havoc for your community. So there could be a thunderstorm, there could be a tornado or a volcano or something like that. All of these different things won't necessarily happen in your game depending on your settings, but then will also kind of like establish a kind of difficulty as such with the game, because you will lose money, you will lose your kind of like community and things like that as well. So we're going to start building a bit more now here right now while I continue talking, because we're a little bit lacking here with the amount of things that we have available for our community. So we're going to be building a road over here, because at the moment we don't have a road over to this police station, and then we're going to need to build something around here because it's fairly redundant. I'm going to build an airport, I think, over here, because it's that little bit further away, which is always useful. So yeah, it's got rich, in-depth customization with the way that your world works. It's quite a lot of fun. I've not had anything that's kind of like put me off playing the game. And you do have loads of different options as well. Constitution, basically you can choose different things, and it will probably affect the way that your community kind of like reacts. So you could have loads of different people coming in and possibly boycotting you. You can lose your... One of the ways to end the game quickly is be an absolutely terrible dictator and basically ruin everybody's opinion of you, and then you lose the election. So that's something that you probably want to make sure that you take care of. On my first few games of Tropico, I didn't really bother about that, and I regretted it because the games ended fairly quickly. They can take a large number of hours for you to complete. So for example, I've had experience where some games have lasted 3-4 hours and I've come back to it day after day after day. But then I've also had some occurrences where it's been like, hey, it lasted half an hour, why did that kind of happen? So yeah, you don't necessarily have the huge kind of like with Battlefield games, you expect them to be 20 minutes unless it's an extended number of tickets. Average is 20 minutes. You can't really come up with an average for this because there's just so much variety as to how the game can end, how much variety there is for you to actually kind of like build things. Like some people give up with games, and with this I can't really, because it's just got so much customization as to what you can do, and so much kind of like variety in the gameplay that you can't really lose out as such by playing the game, because there is just so much content that you don't really like. A game could last, if you exited out of the game, you would probably end up coming back a few hours later to play more and more and more. There's like no end to it as such. If you do things properly. If you don't do things properly, how the community wants it to be kind of thing, yeah, that could possibly cause quite a few problems. But so far my experience with it has been fairly positive, so that's always a good thing. So I'm just trying to find a location for this at the moment because it's just that little bit too big, and by the looks of it, it needs quite a bit of space, and I wanted it to be fairly close to road, because some of these places, like, you don't put them near a road and nobody can get to them, and then they kind of like demolish themselves as such. I'm going to put a few places here, build up a few places for these guys to live. That should do. Now, because I've put this on unlimited money, I can build as many things as possible. But when you're not on unlimited money, you really do need to make sure that you keep an eye on your finances, which are shown here. You also need to make sure what happiness is like, and also how many residents you have in the kind of like area as such. You can pause the game so nothing happens when you're away, for example. You can just play at normal speed, and then you can also fast forward and of course exit as well. So there's quite a lot of different things that you can do. You can trade as well, so you can trade with other countries and other kind of like exports and imports and things like that, so you can get the oil, you can get the trees without necessarily having that implemented in your own world as such. So yeah, the game's fairly well developed and has been out since, I believe, towards the end of last year, and quite a few DLCs have been launching recently, and it's going to be included in the Games Planet sale. Now, comparing the two versions that I played, PS4 and the Xbox, the PC, this is the PC version by the way, it's quite different. Now, the PC version, the controls are harder to understand at first, because as you can see here, like, I've just right-clicked and it's brought up the kind of like menu to build something, and I didn't necessarily want that. I might have wanted to zoom in or zoom out, or I might have wanted to click on something and get some more information on it. So the controls on the PC version seem to be a little bit harder. However, don't put you off, because it's definitely something that you will become used to over time as you play the game, and you will also struggle possibly on console, because on console, with PC, you have so many different buttons. You can customize the controls, and you can do whatever you want to do, kind of thing. So if you wanted it to only be, I don't know, simplest controls possible, you can do that, but as a default, they have preset bindings, which might not necessarily make sense to you or to me or anybody else that plays the game. So the console is, in my opinion, easier for the control scheme, but that's simply because you just have so many fewer options that you don't necessarily need to have that variety with the options, and it makes it so much simpler for somebody to actually play, because you don't need to think, oh, what does A do, what does X do, and what does this mouse button do, and that mouse button do. It's fairly self-explanatory. Obviously, if you have played any of the previous games or played Tropico 5 before, you'll understand that the control system on PC is fairly well developed. You'll also understand that the title is primarily made for console. You don't for PC. You don't get many games like this on console. It's one of the very few titles that they actually consider to put on console, with a kind of like simulation in the depth that Tropico goes to. I believe we're having a few more titles similar to this. For example, there was a game a few years ago, I'm trying to remember what it was, it's on PC, I have it. I'm not 100% sure on the name of that specific one, but there is a game coming to Xbox One at least that is similar to this. Obviously, you've got Tropico, and there are a few other games like Anno 2205 which are similar, but just don't come over to console because it's primarily for a PC market. But it would be nice to see them more oftenly ported over to the console, because it is definitely something that console platform as a whole is missing. And if we had more of these games, I'm sure that more people would become interested in them and start picking them up. So yeah, I personally enjoy it. It adds something to the console that's fairly unique. PC is inundated with a lot of these kind of like simulation titles, and the console community loses out a bit, and I find that quite a shame. But then I kind of understand why, because it's something that isn't necessarily the easiest thing to control on a console. So yeah, it's a game that I would recommend to anybody that is looking for something that might possibly be unique to them. They might not have played anything. As you can see here, the graphics and animations and things like that are fairly well done, and this is on the maximum graphic settings on the PC, so you can see kind of like the game at its full potential as such. If you wanted to see the console version, I will leave a link down below in the description to one of our other videos over on the PlayStation 4 version. And there is just so much customization that I just love it. I love games with customization which has in-depth gameplay, and I think that this game, to improve, it could possibly have possibly a bit more kind of like map space as such. A lot of the stuff in Tropico 5 is islands, and obviously that kind of like makes sense as such because it's a Tropico, it's an island that's in the Caribbean kind of like atmosphere as such, loads of Mediterranean islands and things, so in some ways it kind of makes sense. But if you had a larger area like Cities Skylines, that's the game I was trying to think of earlier, you can just have so much stuff happening in such a well-developed game that it really adds to it because you just have so much stuff to do. Whereas with this, like you can do whatever you want to do, but you're somewhat limited because you're in an island, and then you have all of these kind of like volcanoes and rocks that you can't necessarily do anything with, and that does sometimes kind of like get in your way as such. You can get rid of buildings, you can get rid of areas, but you can't really get rid of like rocks, which is a shame, because if you could get rid of the rocks, you could have a bit more kind of like play base. But it kind of it's understandable in some ways, because like you've got to have a bit of well, not atmosphere, but you've got to have a bit more kind of like variety in what happens with your world. Like you've got to have kind of like landmarks and sites and things like that. Like if it didn't have a volcano and was just a flat world, it would be fairly boring as well, which is in some ways what Cities Skylines is like. The last time I played it, it was always flat, so it didn't add much variety to the gameplay, but then you had larger areas, therefore you could do so much more. I've never played any of the previous Tropico games before this one, and I don't really play games like this normally. However, I really wanted to give it a try. It meant that I could have something new for me to try out, and I'm not sure what a Tropico fan would think of Tropico 5, because I've not really played any of the previous games. Personally, if you're new to the franchise, I think it's a good investment because there's hours of gameplay, there's so much customization, it's in-depth, you have loads of different things that can affect your storyline, kind of affects your world, and there's just so much rich variety of content that I kind of like think, even if you have a console, pick it up, because even though it's mainly designed for PC, the console is still a fairly well developed title, and if you're looking for something that has in-depth customization on console, this is a perfect example, because it's not Minecraft and things like that, which can get boring and is kind of like phasing out. Anno is a well-established franchise, so is Tropico, and very few of the titles release over on the console platforms. So yeah, I would definitely pick up Tropico 5. Now, this is something I wanted to show you a little bit more in this review, and I'm glad it popped up when it did. This is why I haven't done anything with this. Basically, these are situations where you can react however you want to do, like what the situation is. So, the elections are next year. They wish to show your everlasting love and respect for you. They may have used different words, but this does not matter. What matters is you have to decide whether to give them elections or not. Also consider which member of your dynasty will run for president. Preliminary polls show 47% of the people will vote for you. You then get provided with options which affect the whole of the rest of your game. Now, your citizens could turn against you, or they could go for you. Now, I think that I'm going to go for the elections this time. In some of my previous videos, I went no, and then it didn't end up particularly well, because they basically had riots and boycotted us and things like that, which wasn't particularly good. The game ended fairly quickly in our first video from over on the PS4, sorry. So I've just had a bit of a notification over here. So you do get different things that happen. So you may be sent money, people may die, you may have rioters, you may have a problem. That will show in the top right, top left here. And it says here 6 people died from starvation last year, and that might be because I didn't have any restaurants. So I'm just going to build a restaurant here and see if that takes any effects in that death count in the future. So that's something that you can always take into account. Like, you will have something that will happen, and you've got to see what kind of like might help improve that situation, how you might be able to get more money or more imports or more citizens or something like that. So currently we're building quite a variety of stuff. All of our flats here have finished. We've got a I'm not sure what this was going to be. Yeah, the logging camp. Then we have over here with the restaurant, which needed to be built because we were running a bit low of food. We've got this police blimp here, so making sure that the security is well covered. We've got a construction office being built here, supposedly. I'm just doing a bit of a quick build there. And then we've also got an airport as well, which I can quick build. Now, a lot of things will take some time. If you are struggling to have things built quickly enough, you can pay to have them built instantly at the click of a button. If you're struggling to find staff, you can invite a foreign worker to come over and help you out with that specific role, which will possibly increase tourism, might help out some situations that need to be improved. For example, security and things like that. If nobody's working somewhere, it might become redundant and then get demolished and things like that. So everything will affect everything at some point in the game, which is something that I definitely enjoy, because it just adds, as I've said multiple times throughout this video, so much variety to the gameplay. Now, I'm going to be adding a national park here, because we have nothing that really kind of like showcases us to our kind of like community and things like that. So let's have something a bit tourismy. So we're gonna be adding a national park here, and then we need to have a beach site as well. Where did the beach site go? Let's go for the beach site here. Now you can add as many of these as you want to. One thing that I would actually like is if you could kind of like drag out and add as many as you want instantly with things like this, like with flats and things like that, instead than multiple times clicking on the same thing and going through what I just did. It'd be nice if you could kind of like drag it out and cover that whole area with something, or adjust the size or radius of something. That would be cool. That would add a bit more customization, especially if you want to fit things quite close together or widespread. You could make something really big, or you can make something really small. That would be something I would like in a future title. So here we're being provided with the preliminary election polls, and we're not doing particularly well. I'm going to do better safe than sorry, which basically means that there are going to be a few little bribery deals as such gone on in the next election, so we hopefully win. The election results are in. Clever interpretation of the numbers, we've decided that you are the president. We've managed to secure 56% of the vote for you. 35 Tropicans were persuaded to vote for you, while we failed to convince the remaining 28 voters that tried to be kind of like persuaded to vote for us. So yeah, that can affect the game quite badly or quite positively. You can obviously, if you win, that means that you're going to be affected because it could like cause riots and things like that, because they've noticed that something's possibly fishy been going on. But then you also have the situation where your game will end if you don't win the election or something else. Now it says that the Russian president is now angry and he doesn't particularly like us anymore. The relations with Russia have been lowered, so that's probably not a good thing. I don't think we've had many imports coming from Russia or anything really to do with Russia. Most of it's the Middle East, so I'm going to be okay with that at the moment. Hopefully things will improve at some point in the near future. Now, I'm not sure how the cars are actually getting over there because there's no road over there. I'm going to build a road going from here around... Oh, there we go. And yeah, let's go like that. So that road should now be built, which would hopefully improve things. Now, what's this asking for?
At your service.
No road. Ah, yeah, there's no road going between those two places, is there? Let's just build a road here. There we go. Oh, there's still no road. That's not particularly good. There's a... I'm gonna have to demolish that. That's dreadful. If you have a look at that, that's just terrible. Like, you can get up there, but it's not particularly good. So let's just demolish that. And you can demolish it square by square, or you can kind of like hold over an area. Pre-built things that came in the like base development of the game as such, I don't think you can destroy, as far as I can tell. But yeah, that is basically Tropico 5 for you guys. If you do want any more gameplay of Tropico 5 over on the channel, do let me know, because I do really enjoy this game and I have been looking into doing a full kind of like series that is well established and things like that. on the channel, but I just want to make sure that you guys actually want it. I don't want to do something that you guys don't want. So yeah, keep us posted. We will be having more inbox videos, and I'll try and do some more review videos on the channel as soon as possible. What do you guys think of Tropico 5 on the PC? There's quite a lot of content in the game and quite a few DLCs available now. So what do you guys think? Do you want some more content? Do you have any questions for the game? What ideas do you have of something that we should possibly try and do in the game? What feedback do you have about our reviews and things like that? It's very rare that we do a video review, and I wanted to do one today for you guys. So if you do have any feedback, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching the latest Gaming Masters video, a review of Tropico 5, the complete collection, which is currently available on PC. If you want all of the DLC that is available on all platforms, there is a version over on the PC, the PS4 and Xbox One, which is called the Penultimate Edition, which includes all of the DLC. There's a similar thing over on the PC as well. So if you do want all of the DLC and all of the content for the game that is released and may be released in the future, do get some of those packages. All of the game is available on the Games Planet sale, which is starting very, very soon. I'll leave a link down below in the description for you guys so you can check that out. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and we'll see you soon.